really in your feminine role, you have to risk losing the relationship, and you just have to be self-aware and catch yourself in those situations when you are in those like difficult situation or spots. Hi, my name is Sindy V. King. I am a relationship and dating coach for executives and high achiever. Welcome to my Sindy V. King show. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would recommend you doing that right now because we're going to have lots of fun and there's lots of information every week. So don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. And today we have a really special topic that needs to be definitely we need to have a deep talk about this. And so I have a really special guest today, and her name is Karen White, and she is, through Vedic astrology, the science of light. Karen has been providing guidance, hope, and transformation insight for professional men and women in areas of love and relationship for the past 10 years in her very busy practice. If you ever have wondered why your relationship doesn't work out, the star can actually show you the hidden reason why the behaviors are sabotaging your chance of fulfillment in love. Practice and down-to-earth Karen will actually pull you back in the curtains of your love life and give you the actual practice to do and the books to read and exercise that will actually help you turn you into a love magnet. Whether you're through relationship or not, your birth chart will show you the path actually of fulfillment and your personal life. Read her articles on love and watch her videos on divine time astrology to see if she can actually help you to get the love life that you really desire. All right, everybody, I want you to welcome Karen. Okay, so hi, Karen. Welcome to Sindy V. King Show. I'm so excited to have you here, and you are such a fun person to be around with, and obviously I had a reading with you, so I can tell what I have experienced with Karen. And
okay, well, thank you for having me on. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Yes, it is. It's a very nurturing, if you need nurturing and really talk about your feelings, and she's really a great listener and she's really comforting, and it's just a really great feeling as a feminine energy. Today we're going to be talking about female feelings, feminine feeling, fulfillment, and those are the things that we're going to be talking about. And yes, we're going to be specifically talking about high achiever, a woman, and how do we tap into that feel of feminine power. So why is it important to connect with our feminine power, Karen?
Because all fulfillment comes through the feminine. And this is for women too, for men too. Their feminine side is the side of them that helps them to be able to feel their accomplishments, to feel fulfillment from their relationships, and of course, for women. So, yes, and in today's society, women, feel the need to compete and to, everybody has a masculine side too, is what I'm trying to say. And so if you're a high-powered executive with a pretty big career, mainly if you're a career woman, then you are developing your masculine skills all the time. That's what you spend the majority of your time doing, especially if you work overtime a lot. And from what I know of the corporate world, most executives work overtime. So when do they get a chance really to develop more the feminine side? And especially because in the corporate world, the feminine is not considered to be an asset. Now that's changing to some extent, but the truth is that to succeed in a career or in a business, you do need to have masculine skills. And that's the truth. But when you leave work, when you go home, on your way home, you can consciously choose to move into your feminine. And when you're dating, if you want to be the feminine energy person, and I would say I have never had a client come to me who wasn't a person who had a career or a business who wanted to be the masculine energy person in a relationship. And I think the reason for that is because it's actually harder on a woman's physiology to be in her masculine so often. And what she really wants is she wants to be able to be with a man where she can relax and know that she's in good hands. Things are going to go well. He's going to take care of things. And she doesn't have to stay on duty, even after hours. And unfortunately, so many women, they work all day, then they come home if they have children, if they're single mothers, and then they work all night too.
Yeah.
Or they're in a relationship where they're not, well, maybe the balance of energy, I guess you could say, or the divvying up the chores and the responsibilities it's not very equal. So they take the responsibility for the household and as well as making money. And in other words, we just work. Way too much work.
Yeah.
So, but there are ways, there are things that can be done. And here's the thing, this is what's great, is that our physical bodies and nature wants to support the feminine, at least until maybe a certain age. Like over 40, 45, then the biology is changing. And then we do want to do our creative work out in the world more. Usually it's because we've already done our feminine work, right? Had the relationship, the marriage, the children. So that's not for everyone. There are plenty of women who don't do that, and that's fine. But when you get older, then you're like ready. It's like, okay, now I'm ready to do my creative work in the world. However, if you're in a relationship, you still want the relationship to be fulfilling.
Yeah.
And you can't do it if you have two masculine energy people together. There's no polarity.
Yeah.
And there's no spark. It's not fun. You spend time fighting and arguing about how to do something, how not to do something, who's smarter, it's really a drag. So basically, this is what I learned from my therapist in my 20s. Her name is Dr. Pat Allen. She's one of the women that I listed there's a free download for your listeners if they are interested. And one of the things that she always said is that no matter how high-powered your career is, when you come home, you need to waste at least a half an hour to an hour. And what she means by wasting is where you're not trying to be productive, where you're just enjoying being in your body, being in your senses, relaxing, getting in touch with your feelings, getting in touch with how you're feeling, and enjoying the other half of life, which is basically sensuality, sexuality, enjoyment. So if you can waste a half an hour to an hour would be even better, a day. And she says once a week, go out with your girlfriends, do something with other people where you're actually having fun. You're not trying to do something productive, and at the end of it, you have something accomplished or something produced.
No, and it's totally true, because if you are not, if you're in the doing mode, you're not in your feminine touch, right? You're not in your feeling, you're not in your body. And I love fitness for that, because you're in your body. We're not talking about yoga, meditation. We're talking about healthy body, like be creative with your body. It could be dance, it could be pole dancing, it could be running, or it could be just like relaxing or stretching, right? Yes. You don't have to be the spiritual realm in order to be in your feminine touch. I hear that a lot in Vedic astrology.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go and meditate. And I'm like, you need to go to run to Bali. I'm like, no. And you don't have to be that place.
Right. Well, you know what? This is one of the things I really like about the French culture. I read this in a book where the woman said that in the French culture, women make a point of going to a spa like once a year, and they spend a couple of weeks there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the last I heard, the government in France actually supported this.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't do that in our country, but or in most countries that I'm aware of. But nevertheless, saving money to do something like that, that would be a great way to reset, your femininity. Or you can have like your own little spa on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Get your girlfriends together and do
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the evening when you come home. And so this is why I think the environment that you're in can support the feminine or not support the feminine. Well, work doesn't support the feminine. Everybody's a boy at work, and that's appropriate. But at home, I mean, setting up your environment to be comfortable, to be rejuvenating, to be supportive, that is something that's like a good place to start.
Mm.
And you can start with your bedroom, simply because Venus rules the bedroom.
Mm.
And Venus is the planet that rejuvenates us and renews us. It's the feminine energy. It's the other one is the moon. The moon and Venus are the two feminine energy planets. And they're both about comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And the moon is a bit more about your environment and whether or not it supports you. It's like your inner mother.
Mm-hmm.
It's the part of you that makes sure that you have good food to eat, that you're not just grabbing any old thing. It's the part of you that makes sure that your clothes are clean and ready to go, and that you actually have clothes to wear that you feel good in. It's the part of you that gives yourself good body care. In other words, you take the time to eat regularly, to get enough sleep,
Mm-hmm.
to exercise, to do
Mm-hmm.
fun things. And if your moon is, well, I kind of don't like to use certain kinds of words, like afflicted or malefic or those kinds of things, because that just sounds scary. But let's just put it this way. The moon in the birth chart, it can show whether or not that is easily supported in your life, or if you have to be conscious and create it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I totally agree with that. My audience might not know what moon represent or what it is. Like, can you explain a little bit more what moon represent to a woman and how important is it to be receptive and not receptive?
Yeah, you said the key word there.
I know.
Receptivity. And the moon for a woman is so important because the moon is the mind, and it's the part of the mind that it's not the intellectual part. It's the sense part. It's the part of everyone, but especially for a woman who just knows. They just know when this is a good situation, this is a good man to be with, or this is not a good situation, this is not a good man to be with. And it's the intuition, the famous women's intuition. That's the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, our culture is not really in support of that as much. The rational conscious mind, the sun is actually the one that's much more supported. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's one of the things that Pat Allen says that I totally agree with, and that it's a man's world, but it's a woman's universe. And that's because, the intuition, the all-knowing part of us is the moon.
Yeah.
And, but the rational mind has to arrive at knowledge in a sequential, linear, kind of logical way. And there's a place for that in everyone's life, of course. But the moon, the feminine, is the all-knowing part of us. And in a relationship, it's the part of the woman that knows what she really feels and that has the courage to let that show on her face or to express. and to say, this doesn't feel good to me. And even though he's handsome, he makes a lot of money, he would give me high status by being with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel good with him. There's
Mm-hmm.
something about him that doesn't feel good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she will leave that situation, even though part of her be like, damn, he's like perfect on paper. So many women would envy me for being with him, but he doesn't feel good to me. There's something in his manner towards me that makes me feel unseen or unloved or, disrespected in my feminine side. Or it's
Yeah.
part of a woman, like say she's in a job where she's being basically used, meaning, where she's working a couple of different jobs and she's not getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And or the culture in the company is really kind of cutthroat, or there's everybody has had a bad job. I don't know anybody who hasn't had a terrible job. And she'll stay because of the money, or because of the 401k or the bonuses, or because she thinks she can't get anything better.
Yeah.
But if your moon is something that you've cultivated in a conscious way,
Mm-hmm.
know that it's going to be okay if you leave, that something else will come.
Mm-hmm.
Receptive to opportunities that come your way.
Yes, I agree.
Trust in life.
I want to say that it's trust, but I hear this a lot with women is like, I don't feel safe.
Mm.
And maybe that's the moon is really, or your feeling or your gut feeling, or like something, your skin is crawling. It's like, I don't feel safe with him, or I don't feel safe in this job. I don't feel safe somebody's saying that to me. What's your thoughts on that? Like when a woman really says something like that, it's such a powerful word that I don't feel safe.
Yeah, that's her intuition. That's her moon.
Yeah.
That's her body too.
Yeah.
Because it seems like our body has a wisdom that our minds don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Or it takes a while to get to our brain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just pay attention to how you feel
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a situation or with someone in particular, then you'll know everything that you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have certain configurations in the birth chart, that
Mm-hmm.
it can make it difficult. And the thing that I hear the most is a woman saying, I can't always tell the difference between an intuition and a fear.
Mm.
Am I just being afraid because I don't have faith? Or is it telling me something real that I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing. But there are things that you can do for that too.
Mm-hmm.
To cultivate that more, to cultivate that connection with that part of you.
Yeah.
And it's cultivation.
Sure.
We take the time to learn many skills for our jobs. We go to college, we get degrees.
Yeah.
We study all the time to learn how to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to think that everything else in life should just come naturally.
Yes.
Because it doesn't. And even the most feminine women who are naturally very feminine, in today's world, they get so many conflicting messages all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That if they're the type of woman where they love being home and they're not interested in having a career and they just want to raise their children and create a wonderful home, well, then they carry around guilt that they're being lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but if a woman who does have a career and she needs to work and she has children at home, she feels guilty because she's not being a good mother. You know what I'm saying? So it's you can't win kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you just have to know what is right for you. You have to figure it out. And usually it's through going within and through spiritual practices. Because that's one of the best ways to develop the feminine and to develop the intuition. And that is to have regular spiritual practices that feel good to you.
Yeah, yeah, I really like how you said that. And what does that mean like spiritual practice? How do we deal with our hurt feelings at the end of the day? Like somebody said something or I'm just feeling not so good in myself and I'm not doing performing because I don't feel good, right? How do we go
Yes.
about to doing that? Do you have any resources to
Oh yeah, this is one of the things that I recommend all the time. This is like my favorite remedy. And I'm actually putting together like a little mini course on it.
great?
And it's the stream of consciousness writing. And I'll tell you the reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're feeling disconnected or you're not feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't really have an arena to express them. You don't want to continually be ranting and raving about your job to your partner, you know, and or your friends, they keep hearing the same thing over and over again about your boss,
Mm-hmm.
or your situation at work, or like say you're hurt because of something that the man you're with said to you,
Mm-hmm.
didn't say,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. One of the best things that I've found that works really well is a stream of consciousness writing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also Google the morning pages. And I found this through that. I took the morning pages. It was a workshop. It lasted 6 weeks. And in it, we were required to write 3 pages front and back every day.
Mm-hmm.
And all you do is once you start writing, you don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't worry about spelling,
Mm-hmm.
grammar, sentence structure, and most importantly, you don't worry about making sense.
Mm.
You just write anything that comes to your mind. Now, when your mind goes blank, because it will at some point, you don't stop writing. You just say, oh, you're right, my mind just went blank. I can't think of anything to say. But I'm sitting in this chair, in this room, and then before you know it, you have a flood more
Mm.
thoughts. Now, what this does is it helps to connect the head and the heart
Mm.
together. And it makes you aware of what you're feeling.
Mm.
That was the most surprising thing that I found out. See, I have both Rahu and Ketu aspecting my moon. Yeah. I also have Saturn and Mars, like all the so-called malefics. They're all aspecting my moon to some degree or another. And one of the things that the stream of consciousness writing did for me was to make me aware of what I was really feeling.
Mm.
You see, and if you do this on a daily basis, then you're
Mm.
not waiting 3 weeks for it to kind of bubble up and then realize, oh, wow, that thing that so-and-so said 3 weeks ago
Mm.
really hurt my feelings or really upset me or made me feel disrespect or whatever. But
Yeah.
now it's kind of too late, right, to go to that person and say something
Yeah.
because they probably don't even remember it anymore.
Yeah.
And or there's the, she'll say, wow, you're really sensitive, aren't you? Now you're so sensitive thing. But if it's more closer to the event, like it's same day, next day,
Mm-hmm.
then you can take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. You can say what it is that you need to say in a way that helps the relationship
Mm-hmm.
rather than suddenly one day realizing, oh my God, I am so angry, I could burn the house down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Then it all comes out and you say all kinds of things that you regret saying, you wish you could take back, you can never take back.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the stream of consciousness writing on a daily basis,
Yeah.
not only do you find out what you're really feeling, but you can figure out exactly what it is that you want or need
Mm.
in that situation with that person, and then how to actually go about asking for it.
Mm.
And then making it okay with you if you don't get it. If you don't get what you asked for,
Yeah.
right? What happens after that?
Yeah.
So, and I like to add something to this practice. It's not just, getting it all out. But when you do, you get it all out, you find out what you really feel, but you can also hear the part of you that does know everything, the part of you that's connected to the divine.
Yeah.
messages that you're getting. And you can cultivate that over time. You're cultivating a connection with yourself. And you just feel a lot more grounded in the world. You don't feel alone in the world anymore, too. And it's, when your insecurities come like a storm, you have a place to go, and it becomes a really comforting thing to do and powerful thing to do.
It's totally true, because I could relate to what you were saying, K2 and Moon and Rahu and Moon. My audience might not know what that is. If you could able to explain a little bit.
Explain it a little bit. Okay. Well, here's a quick way to explain it. When Rahu is with the moon or aspecting the moon, it means that whatever it is you're feeling in the moment, you tend to forget that it's a feeling and it's just going to go away like all feelings do. Instead, it feels like your whole entire world is about that feeling. And so you may way overreact to it. K2, on the other hand, when that's aspecting the moon, you have trained yourself to hide your true feelings, which, by the way, can be very frustrating for a man. And well, I'd like to go into that a little bit, simply because the way that we actually lead the men in our life emotionally, like we're like the spiritual leaders, and that's the truth, we really are. And what that means is we determine the level of love in the relationship. What we put up with is what we get, and what we require. But for a man, what he's looking for an expression of your feelings. And usually it's on your face, and in your eyes. It's your tone of voice, it's your body language. It's kind of like what we do with our pets, because they can't talk to us. But they manage to convey very clearly what it is they're feeling, right?
Yes.
And so that is something that we can cultivate. And it does take a certain amount of courage to show what you're really feeling, especially if it's a negative feeling, right? When you have K2 aspecting or with the moon, we like to hide that and say, oh, well, I don't want to be high maintenance, right? I don't want to be a diva. When actually the guy is thinking, okay, am I winning with her? Am I making her happy or not?
Yeah.
I can't tell. And it's frustrating to him. So he's looking for guidance from you from doing that. So Moon K2 women, they tell themselves, well, I'll just go home and deal with it on my own. Yeah, that doesn't help relationship at all. And believe it or not, men actually, they value our feminine side.
Yes.
They value that because that's what we bring to their world. They're in their masculine all the time.
It's true. Typically,
what they tend to do when they've just had enough of that, they get drunk.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to express their feelings. They don't know what to do with all those feelings.
Yes.
And usually the woman in their life, if she's comfortable with her feeling side, if she knows how to take care of herself emotionally, she knows how to say no to things that don't feel good, and he trusts her, he can relax with her, and he can let his feminine side come out with her.
It's true. It's true.
Actually, that's the side of him that loves us, the way that we want to be loved, with flowers and sweet words, and where he writes a poem for you or does a painting in your honor or a song or something, all those really romantic things.
Yeah.
That's his feminine side.
Yeah.
But he won't do it if he doesn't feel safe around you emotionally. And the only way he will is if you take care of yourself emotionally.
Yeah. And it's true. So I could relate to this story because I like to run away, far away when I'm like emotionally triggered or having anxiety. I would run away and then I'll come back and I'll like, okay, I'm ready to talk about it. And it's you know, and I get that. Like, yes, it's totally true. Men don't know how they really feel unless you're expressing it a certain way. It's like, oh, I feel sad about this, or I feel hurt
Mm,
about this, and you know, could you stop that? And it's like you have to say it in a feminine way, not in a Mars way, which is a
yeah.
masculine way with anger. You know,
Right?
and I have a nice masculine side, so my Mars is quite
Yeah.
warrior side, and you know,
Mhm.
so I get that. Like, you know, when a woman expresses her anger, she's in her masculine side, and when a man expresses
Yeah.
his anger, he's in his feminine side, which is polar opposite.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And men, especially when they've fallen in love and they're very, very vulnerable with you. Oh, and then, say you haven't been saying what you've been needing to say for a while, and then you just kind of blow up, and then you
Mm-hmm.
say all kinds of mean things.
Mm-hmm.
You can really shut down, because it's his feminine side that's feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or what he'll do is he'll bring his masculine too. And then, of course, well, I would say most men's masculine side is naturally more developed than most women's.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going to go head to head, and argue, try to see who can be more logical, who can win, well, that does a lot of damage to your relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
then after the fight is over, usually what happens is that the woman will realize at some point she'll just feel so frustrated, because most men can completely out logic most women.
Yeah.
And she'll just be like, I'm just feeling all these intense feelings and I just don't know how to express it. And then she'll cry.
Yeah.
And then when she cries, I mean, if it's a real genuine crying, then the man comes, he's like, oh, okay, thank God, her feminine is back. But really, that's what that is. He's like, now she's in her feminine again. Now I
Mm-hmm.
know what to do,
Mm.
right? Then he can come over to you and hug you, and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
But then you feel bad about the fight. You're like, oh my God, I didn't really mean that when I said that.
Mm.
Again, so that goes back to the stream of consciousness writing thing. You
Mm.
do it on a regular basis, you just have a better chance
Mm-hmm.
of expressing yourself when you need to, and in a way that actually doesn't harm the relationship.
That is true. That is
This is
very true.
assuming that the guy you're with is, somebody who has some relationship capacity as well.
Yes. And
Because you can do everything perfectly and have perfect compatibility with somebody, but if their capacity is low,
mm,
it'll just be a painful, frustrating experience for you.
it is. It would be.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to talk about like dating men in general. A lot of high achiever women, they're like, I want to date another masculine man. You know, what's so wrong with that? It's like, I'm masculine, he should be my equal. I don't want to date someone who's more feminine or yin or beta men. It's just, I don't get turned on by that. They look great, but they're like a cupcake.
Yeah. Well, see, now that's just doing the same thing that some men do.
Mm,
You see, with women, where they say, well, you're a woman. Yeah, what you can't do the same job that I'm doing.
mm,
What makes you think you can do it? See, it's just reverse sexism,
mm,
is really what it is. And the thing is that there's a lack of understanding there, and that there needs to be a polarity between two people for there to be the relationship.
mm,
And this is the same thing with gay and lesbian couples. I mean,
mm,
it doesn't work if they're both the masculine or they're both the feminine.
mm,
And the both two masculine fight all the time, two feminine, nothing happens.
mm,
So if they want to be with a masculine man, then they need to be in their feminine and be willing to be vulnerable, because being in your feminine means being emotionally vulnerable.
mm,
It means being in your feelings and actually showing what you're feeling,
mm,
and also being able to say no,
mm,
have the courage to say no and risk losing the relationship.
mm.
It's something you have to decide. I am willing to lose a relationship rather than hurt myself, rather than allow myself to be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's really required for a masculine woman to be happy in a relationship where she's the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, she does need to find something about him to respect.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it doesn't have to be any kind of typical thing, like his title or how much money he makes or any of those things. It could be his intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It could be his heart, and how he's able to connect with people. And that is like, say he's like really great in sales or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a feminine skill. But still, I mean, because all of us are both male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, say maybe he has a really high code of honor that he sticks to no matter what. Like, say he has high integrity. There's always something you can admire and respect. Now, if you do have a lot of masculine energy and you really don't want to take the time and the energy to cultivate the feminine much more, so that you can actually be the feminine person. This is one of the things that I tell women too. There is nothing wrong with feminine energy men. There can be very high quality feminine energy men. For instance, doctors. Doctors have a very high feminine side because of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Artists, musicians, writers, salespeople. These are men who have a highly developed feminine as well as a masculine side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want them to be able to be successful in these, jobs or careers. And you can't be successful if you don't have any masculine skills, whether you're male or female. And so, it's just sometimes you have to go for what you need rather than what you think you should want.
Mm.
And and then again, you can't know what you need unless you're in touch with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's totally true because if you are picking with, I think Dr. Pat Allen said, if you pick with your eye, you're picking with your masculine side. And if you're picking with your feeling, which is very sensual and sexual, then you are receptive, then you are in your feminine side. So it's either or. There's no wrong or bad, but just be self-aware that you are, if you want to be in the masculine role, that's meaning you want to lead, and that means that you might gonna have a feminine man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Somebody's got to lead in the relationship. Somebody's got to make a decision. Somebody's got to pay the bill. Somebody's got to pick out where to eat and where to go, right? Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
But what the thing is even if he is a very highly feminine energy man, he still needs to be respected.
Yeah.
For what he does.
Yeah.
And to never, for the woman to never put that down as if it's not as valuable as what she's doing. Because, if he feels disrespected, because he's still a man, that's how they feel loved, is by being respected. And if he feels disrespected by you, it's the relationship it's on its way to being over.
Yeah. And that's a hard risk, like how you're saying that, if you are really in your feminine role, you have to risk losing the relationship, and you just have to be self-aware and catch yourself in those situations when you are in those like difficult situation or spots.
Yeah. Well, you asked me a really good question. Know when you're in your feminine or when you're in your masculine, like say date or in a relationship, starting one.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways that you can know. So like say you're on a date, and the way you can know if you're in your masculine or your feminine, it is if you are thinking things like,